The Memphis Grizzlies are about to strap a stick of dynamite to the whole operation that they have going on and blow it up. Ladies and gentlemen, it is officially crisis time for the Grizzlies. Ja Morant, as you can tell, doesn't want to be there, and I'm pretty sure they don't want him there. He's arguing with teammates. He hasn't really been playing like that. It just doesn't look good, and it's not a good fit for Ja Morant as of right now. And also, I've seen and heard reports that Jaren Jackson Jr. can be on his way out too. So, fellas, I want to talk about the Grizzlies. Just 2 years ago, the Grizzlies were a promising team. They were a promising young core, and sky was kind of the limit for them. But as of right now, it's looking like we've reached the end of the road for that iteration, which includes Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson. Obviously, Desmond Bane is gone. Dylan Brooks left. But what is next for the Grizzlies? And do they keep Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant past the trade deadline? How do we feel about this, fellas?
Looks bad. Looks really bad. His play on the court has been... It's hard. It's hard for me to watch this, man. The Grizzlies have been on pace for basically like one of the worst 5 teams in the league when he's on the court. Their defense is worse. Their offense is significantly worse. And by the way, their offense was worse last year with him on the court too. So this is, it's a lot of issues. Number one, his inefficiency, his lack of paint touches, paint efficiency, pull-up jump shooting. I think he's a bit of an overrated passer. Does not warrant 33% usage the way that he does. He drags possessions. His possession time is so... Man, he just kills possessions. And I think I was reading a metric a couple of weeks ago that the Grizzlies passed less with him on the court than when they were the worst passing team in the league when he was on the court. So basically the entire offense grinds to a halt. He's not efficient enough in the paint or as a pull-up jump shooter to warrant that type of usage, and they are an awful team.
And I think, Ron, you make a good point in terms of the league can hit you fast, right? It was only a few years ago, like in 21 and 22, they finished second in the West. The sky looks like the limit. They have a bunch of young guys playing at a high level. They look like they were next in line. But then the Lakers packed them up. You lose guys like Steven Adams and Dylan Brooks, and in the process, you lose your identity. A few injuries. They lose faith in Taylor Jenkins as well. The year after, you finish 13th, and then all the Ja drama starts, and all of a sudden, it's over, just like that. Overnight, it's over. But for the Ja Morant stuff, I think for me personally, in a world where reputation can make or break your career, I think Ja Morant might be the worst example of professionalism we have in the league. Like, he was drafted 2019. By year 3, he was All-NBA. By year 4, he was a multi-time All-Star. But so much of his story has been negative since he's been there. Off-court drama, suspensions, alienating the fans, calling out, coaches, publicly disrespecting the media, and now I'm sure everyone's seen the clip, like trying to fight his own teammates, all while his production has decreased. So it's a crazy, crazy situation for Ja, and I think it's time that both parties sort of moved on and went their separate ways.
Obviously, in case you guys don't know, Ja Morant has allegedly purchased a house about 20 miles away from the Miami Heat's arena where they playing.
It's only $3 million. That's a light purchase for Ja. So it's not really much of it. I mean, to be honest, not really much of a story for me. I don't really want to talk about Ja too much more, to be honest. We had a whole 2 weeks ago. How long was that ago? Penn, because we were on the episode. We had like an hour and a half conversation about Ja. Like, might have been 3 weeks ago. It was like on a Friday.
What would you like to talk about, Swiper?
Yeah, what would you like to talk about?
Well, it's more just I don't want to keep, regurgitating the same thing. I've shared my feelings about Ja. I think that he's obviously very immature. But I don't want this to be his story. I don't want this to be the end of his run. I want the best for him. I just think that he personally had a lot of things he's had to overcome, I think, emotionally as a young man. And as somebody who's been young and, you know, not made all the best decisions in the world, I just think that like sometimes like you just have to get knucked up in life a little bit. Like it just happens. You know what I mean? You got to find a new situation, a new family, a new team, a new workplace. And I think hopefully he can grow from that. But yeah, I just don't, you know, I've talked about Ja ad nauseum since the first incident happened in Colorado when he was at the Gentleman's Club that is literally right on Colorado Boulevard that I have never seen anybody go to, by the way. This was like it's like a, you know, you go by it when you're headed to the movies or you know what I mean, or you're going to Black Hawk to go gamble.
Wasn't me.
Yeah.
Wasn't me.
But,
that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's
not. Well, I actually have never been.
Seen you rolling in, but it wasn't me.
Nah. So I grew up right going down that street to go to high school all the time. So I just always saw it. But it's just, you know, it's not like an appealing. I thought it was like a.
Never thought about pulling into that lot.
Bro, I just GPS'd it.
I personally do not like
way out of your
clubs. That's never been my
style. You never
style.
swiped in those areas.
That's never been my style. I think the whole thing is nonsense to me personally. The idea, it's like buying fireworks. I don't believe in just burning money up. Like it makes no sense. I worked hard for my money. And I just don't have to pay for it, to be respectfully, you know, like Ron. So
like
some of this is like as simple as
fireworks show.
I don't like fireworks show. I think they're dumb. Like Ron, when you see those big fireworks shows, like for cities, it's like $100,000, $250.
I'm willing to pay for the show, but
No,
that's
good.
just me. I'm an entertainer and I like to be entertained. But
Pay for the action too. Some people do, but I think for me, I'm just more so the mindset though. Penn, I hope he does well. I want him to move on. I want him to have a new situation. He has had multiple incidences that are both on record and off record and stuff that I've just, you know,
heard.
Yeah, it's just not even like Ron. You know, Ron, you've had knucklehead teammates. You know what I mean? You've had people in your life that are, but you know, they're not bad people. They just young. Like you just make bad decisions when you're young and you got people handing stuff to you your whole life through athletics. And one thing that I've talked about to a lot of athletes, Penn, you know, when I used to like sit down in front of like, you know, Missouri and Arkansas athletes down south and stuff, we would just talk through like kind of life off the field and off the court. One of the things I always would tell people that for a lot of people, like when you get so many privileges in life based on being pretty or being tall, you don't develop a lot of skills, like emotional skills. You don't know how to handle a lot of conflict well, or you don't know how to manage yourself well. When you're an athlete, you have a lot of people doing things for you since you're very young, and you never actually develop a sense of responsibility and ownership of yourself and your actions and other people. So when you've been an elite athlete, honestly, this is why LeBron James is such a crazy story. Like for him to be as celebrated as he's been since he's 14 and to be the kind of person off the court he was, again, without a, you know, father figure, all this other stuff, for him to do what he did is like one of one. And I think for Ja has been handed so many things. I don't think he ever allowed for accountability to become his best friend. And I don't think that is something he's even learned now at this point. But I'm saying I do hope that he gets to a point, you know, where he's able to, I think, self-reflect, Ron, and just be like, I want to be better for myself. I want to be better for my family. I want to make better decisions as a human being, but I also don't want to I don't want to keep getting scuffles with my teammates and my coaches and like pouting and all that stuff. But again, I'm speaking for myself. Like I also had attitude issues as an athlete too. So like I'm saying, I'm not going to be too hard on them, but I think the Miami Heat situation with Pat Riley, I think we talked about this before, Mars, when you came back from your sabbatical, that I think that would be a good fit for him, you know, culturally. If he went down there, I think Pat Riley would help him. If there are people that could help him get out of what he's in, that'd be a good situation. Like I said, I also will say too, Penn, JJJ, I know has endured a lot behind the scenes carrying this franchise. I don't think people know just how much of a rock he's been for Memphis throughout the last 4 years. He's been like a really, really great leader, and a lot of people speak extremely highly of JJJ. So one of the reasons they prioritize him too for the team is like we've been doing everything. Every time we go through something with Ja or somebody else, like he has been our rock to kind of hold us together. So yeah, I mean,
look, I think it's pretty obvious to anyone watching Ja that he's not really playing with the same verve, joy, enthusiasm that he's played with. I don't necessarily know if it's fair to categorize him as someone who's been handed everything, because this is a guy who went from unranked to, you know, face the league talks. That's quite an ascent for somebody, right? And we can't just dismiss all the work that went into that. It wasn't just the athleticism. He put in a lot of work. He deserves a lot of credit. And I don't think that this is a situation where, respectfully, he just, you know, coasted on, an early high school mixtape and just got his ass to the league, because he didn't develop his game. He's done a lot to develop his game. Unfortunately, his game peaked in 2021, 2022. So my question, to evolve this conversation so that we're not repeating ourselves and boring you with the conversation, because you mentioned that we'd already had an hour and a half conversation about this, is there hope that the next team that trades for him is able to turn some of the issues around? And that's not just the maturity. I've heard a lot of stuff about Ja Morant too through the grapevine. I've heard he's a fantastic teammate. I've heard he's an amazing person. I talked to a person this year, actually, who was his teammate a few years ago, said best teammate I ever had. So it's weird, right? Like you hear different things about a guy. I think he has a major image problem, a major optics problem around the NBA. Obviously, you get suspended for something stupid like, showing that thing on an IG live, and then you respond by doing it again. People are going to rightfully call you an idiot. They're going to call you stubborn. They're going to call you stupid. They're going to call you immature. They're going to call you a lot of things. It all really went downhill with the Shannon Sharp thing. Like at courtside, when that thing happened, the entire Memphis Grizzlies culture, it all changed. But prior to that, like, we were really talking about Ja Morant being the face of the league, and he was already 3 years into his career at that point. We've seen major playoff risers. So if a team like Miami or if a team like Toronto were to trade for him, what are they getting? What could they hope to get? I know they're not getting a great defender. I know they're not getting a great jump shooter, but can they get a great player back? That's my question.
I absolutely think that in Ja's next destination, he's going to bounce back.
Why?
I think Ja can get back to his ways from 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't think that's far-fetched for Ja to do that. Motivation is a big thing. We've seen players come out motivated and eat the league up. I was on the phone with Ox last night. I don't think it's no coincidence that all of a sudden Mr. Leonard down in Los Angeles is balling like crazy right now. You drag his name through the mud. You come up with allegations. And then all of a sudden now the media is talking about, Kawhi's making all this money, but he's not performing. Now all of a sudden Kawhi's not just playing, but he's terrorizing the league. Kawhi looks like 19, 21, 22. He's back to that Kawhi. I believe that when Ja gets to his next destination, it gets to a better environment. And I think Miami's a perfect destination, but it's some other destinations he can go to too. But once he gets to that new environment, and he can clear his mind of certain things that's going on in Memphis, and he could get around better teammates too, I can definitely see Ja getting back to what he was. And once again, he might not ever average what he averaged, like 26 and 8. He might not ever average that again, but I do think he could be much, much, much more impactful than what he's been.
If you're talking professional pride, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, right? They drag your name through the mud, so you pull yourself up by the bootstraps and you say, okay, I'm going to show them. We did this with Ben Simmons. Didn't work so well, right? So is Ja closer to Kawhi Leonard in this situation where he can just pull himself out? What has he shown you in his past 6 years that would give you the idea that he's willing to course correct here? That is just a situation, because, look, situations can go stale. You could be around the wrong people. You get into a new scenery. You get into a new environment. I think people, who aren't athletes, who aren't professional athletes, you can sometimes feel this change if you change cities. You change cities, the vibe of your life changes. Suddenly that place that you used to go to isn't there anymore, so you're forced to make new neural connections. I worry if there's a self-destructive streak with him, because a lot of his issues have been self-imposed. That's my issue. Whereas Kawhi Leonard, I don't think his issues were self-imposed. Kawhi Leonard never showed up to camp out of shape. Kawhi Leonard never pulled a weapon out on IG Live. Kawhi Leonard's never been suspended by the league for, conduct detrimental to the team or some shit. That's never happened before. So with Kawhi Leonard, it was his body breaking down. With Ben Simmons, to some degree, it's also his body breaking down. With Ja Morant, I mean, you would have to go into a very different direction. You might have to go into Sean Kemp situation to find a 1-for-1 comparison in terms of like what he's Gilbert Arenas, Javaris Crittenton, to go into that Michael Beasley, where it's just like, this is where I think I am. This is who I think I am. The entire league does not agree, and I refuse to adapt. That's not Kawhi Leonard, dude.
It's the panel. Religion get built on cam. Where the check throw smoke and the host go ham. You ain't never seen hoops all hit the raw. Every take got weight, every night we drop. This that barbershop. Courtside, worldwide tone. Welcome to the only show that really feel like numbers jumping like the score.